There, I'm Clifford Bates, and welcome once again to Reading Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics. Rah, 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 rah. Well, hi there. Today we're continuing our examination of Book 8 of the Nicomachean Ethics, which deals with friendship. Today we're looking at Chapter 8. There, I have to move the screen a little bit. Ah. So let's go to it. Chapter 8, continuing on the friendship. Last chapter, we looked at chapter 7 with the equality among people of superiority. Here's chapter 8, which deals starts with the question. But the many seem, on account of their love of honor, this is a philotima, and sometimes the term is translated as ambition in 4:4. The ambition, right? This is love of honor. Okay, this is why ambition 4:4, book 4 of chapter 4, book 4, chapter 4, where he just the Philotima was talking about ambition, right? Love of ambition, love of honor, right? On account of their love of honor, to wish to be loved more than to love. So the many want to be loved more than loved. Hence, the many are lovers of flattery. Okay, this is like wonderful. This is explaining why people are lovers of flattery in that sense. There is the many, but the many seem on account of their love of honor. So, the love of this is interesting. We would normally think the love people who love honor is not is belongs to the few, not the many. We are the honor lovers versus the pleasure lovers, right? Well, here Aristotle suggests that love of honor is a thing of the many, not the few, right? So, but the many seem on account of their love of honor. So maybe the question is that they love pleasure more than honor. Maybe that's, but the many still love honor in that sense. They love honor, wish to be loved more than to love. Hence, the many are lovers of flattery. They love being flattered. For the flatterer is a friend who is inferior, or at any rate, he pretends to be inferior and to love more than he is loved. So notice this, the flatterer, that's what flatterer is, someone who's inferior who pretends to love more than he is loved. He may be, in other words, he's an inferior, or at any rate pretends to be inferior, and to love more than he's loved. Insofar, being loved seemed to be close to being honored, which is indeed what the many aim at. So, therefore, this is the problem. Here is the aspect that there's something similar to being loved and honored. Okay, there's a similarity of being loved. It comes close. In other words, loving someone is like close to honoring them in that sense. And therefore, this is that we love to be honored more. We love honor. The many loves honor, so the flattery of being loved gives them a sense that they're being honored, right? Aimed at which indeed at which the many aimed at, but they seem to choose honor not on its own account, but only incidentally. So therefore, in other words, they don't choose honor intentionally on its own. They don't seek honor for its own sake, and that's maybe the difference. Those who seek honor on their own things, but enjoy they get honor incidentally, accidentally, or incidentally, on account of something else. That they enjoy that, right? For the many delight in being honored by those in position of authority, on account of the hope thus fostered, for they suppose that they will obtain what they need from them. They delight in honor, therefore a sign of their faring well. So there's two types. There's the many seek the like flattery of who? The flattery or honor. They delight in being honored by people in position of authority on account of the hope, thus is forced on account of hope that they get something good. That the greater person, the powerful person is going to, they suppose that they will obtain what they need from them people. They delight in honor, therefore, as a sign of faring well. Faring well. Practicing, I think that's the doing well and faring. I think that is the doing well and faring well. But those who long for honor from people who are decent and who know them aiming at okay, who know them aim who know them aim at confirming their own opinion of themselves. So that's the other thing. In other words, the many only love honor of those people who are high, more powerful, more powerful. The flatterer is a person who doesn't have power, but flatters someone else, hoping that this person will benefit them, right? That somehow. Likewise, the many will get a sense of that that person has authority, power, honors them by flattery too. Yes, I think flattering and honor is kind of similar to each other. Love being loved and honor is close to each other, right? So hoping that they like that because they think that the other person is going to benefit them. Right? The one who gives them honor or gives them affection is going to benefit them, right? And that therefore this is a sign of faring well. But now he moved from the many to the certain people who's what that long for honor from people who are decent and who know them. So they are not unknown people, but people who are decent and who know them. These people aim at confirming their own opinion of themselves. In other words, they know they seek the respectable, hoping that they get recognized by of confirming that I'm worthy. They delight in honor, therefore, since they trust that they are good, as a result of the judgment of those who say so. In other words, it confirms it confirms their own opinion of themselves. They think we're good, and therefore having these good people, these decent people, say you're good confirms that, right? So therefore, they delight in the honor. Therefore, since they trust that they are good as a result. But they also delight in being loved in itself. So doublefold. They love as the status that this confirms my opinion, but they love what they delight in being loved in itself. So, in other words, getting honor from someone who are they getting honored is one thing, but they also but they delight in being loved in itself. Hence, being loved would seem to be better than being honored, and friendship would seem to be more choice-worthy in itself, in that sense. So therefore, they love more that even though they love to be honored, they love to be held in respect and honored. But love seems to be more pleasant in itself, right? Because it seems to be because you can honor somebody because that it confirms your value, right? You want to get something good. You want to get something beneficial. It's not the question is honor is it's either you're getting some good from it or you're confirming something that you believe yourself, right? It's a confirmation of something. But love seems to be interesting in itself because it seems what he says they delight in being loved in itself. Hence, being loved would seem to be better than being honored, and friendship would seem to be more choice-worthy in itself. But friendship seems to consist more in loving than in being loved. That's interesting. So friendship consists more. In other words, even friendship would be higher, but friendship seems to be more consistent of being loving than being loved, and it is a sign of this. And a sign of this is mothers who delight in loving their children. There's an example of this is that friendship seems to be more in loving than being loved, right? More for caring. And that Some mothers give away their own children to be raised, and though they love them just because they know who they are, they do not seek to be loved in return if both are not possible. In other words, this is that moment that if they can't get, in other words, this is the example. Some mothers give away their own children to be raised. They love their children, but they know that in other words, it would not be possible to love. They do not seek to be loved in return if both is not possible. In other words, uh, they know that something would happen and they couldn't love them if they had to. If they love them so much they give them away, and they will sacrifice being loved in return because they of their love of them, right? But at the same time, they know that they both will not be possible. Rather, it seems to be enough for mothers if they see their children doing well, faring well, and doing well, right? That's that happened. And they love them even if their children, in ignorance of who their mothers are, may render to them nothing of what is proper to a mother. So this is very interesting. He ends on this perplexity of this is friendship is more than loving than being loved. That therefore this affection is this like the mother that of the mother references the mother of the child, mother's love of the child, who then gives the child up because thinks it'll do better. They love the child so much that they want to see him benefit. But wait a minute, doesn't this seems odd? This kind of love seems to be different from the love that is mentioned earlier that you wouldn't want to love so much that you wouldn't want a good so good that you break the relationship, right? This is a breaking relationship. There's no reciprocity. They love so much that they love the mother loves it so that that since they cannot be loved and loved in return, they would prefer the child to love them as and the child is cared for and benefited, right? And that they'd rather that the child do well than benefit in that sense. That they love them so much they would rather benefit and live and benefit, knowing that they would not be able to benefit in that sense. And they love them even if their children in ignorance do not render them what is proper. And that's how we end that paragraph. And the next paragraph of 8, since friendship consists more in loving than being loved, and those who love their friends are praised, loving seems to be a virtue of friends. In that sense, as loving is this virtue of friends. That seems loving seems to be a virtue of of friends. As a result, so since friendship consists more in being loved, more in loving. In other words, loving than being loved. And those who love their friends are praised. Loving seems to be a virtue of friends. This is the good thing that friends do. This is the right thing. This is the correct thing. As a result, those in whom this arises in accord with merit are stable friends, as is their friendship. In other words, in other words, the affection and the praise, the affection and love because of their worth of it. This is a stable friendship. It is in this way, especially, that even those who are unequal might be friends, since they could be rendered equal by a deference in the love offered on each side. That's okay. That's the explanation, right? In other words, that even unequal people can be because of why. Maybe they now he's giving a difference in the love offered by each side. But what else are other things? That it is possible that their merit to doing good things or being virtuous or their quality makes them. And even though there is a difference in terms of the let's say the amount of the quality, that the recognition of that quality and what will happen is this is the proportionality aspect, right? he says here in that sense. Equality and likeness constitute friendly affection. So equality and likeness constitute friendly affection, and especially likeness of those who are alike in point of virtue. In other words, likeness, and like this is why people like their own kind, right? This is the you have a affection to your own, and your own is in terms of your family, your kin, your tribe, your race. You have these affection, this and that you see them as yourself. This is this is like, this is like, this is, and you may see them as your equals in that sense, right? That there is this sense of that the my like is my equal in this sense, and therefore there is affection towards like, he says. Equality and likeness constitute friendly affection in that sense, and especially the likeness of those who are alike in a point of virtue, he says. Now, the virtue and their quality here, their quality of what they are, their good, their excellences and their characteristics, right? Since they are stable in themselves, that this if their likeness, if the likeness that holds them together is their virtue, their pointed virtue, shared virtue, then this is stable in themselves. They remain the same also in relation to each other, and they neither need base things, nor other aids of this sort. In other words, they don't, because their virtue and their sameness of character, they don't need base things or aids of this sort to kind of do something here. Mm. Neither, rather they even obstruct it, that they obstruct it, so to speak. For it belongs to good people neither to err themselves nor to permit their friends to do so. So therefore it prevents corruption. In other words, they don't need base things to help them, to base their relationship. Therefore, they also this their good quality, their shared virtue, also helps them to obstruct it, so to people from corrupting each other, in that sense, because they don't need what for it belongs to good people neither to err themselves nor to permit their friends to. Those who are corrupt are without steadiness, however, for they do not remain like even to themselves. In other words, they don't even the corrupt change they don't even stay the same to themselves. Yet for a short time they do become friends, and they delight in each other's corruption. So that this is unstable friendship. This is the stable friendship is the something that's permanent, and that's good character. Good character keeps permanence. They don't change. It'll be relatively a good character will stay constant, stable, and therefore the friendship remain. And they don't even need base things to hold it together. Whereas the corrupt people need base things. They delight in each other's corruptions. But those who are useful and pleasant remain friends for a longer time, for however long they provide pleasure or benefits to each other. So therefore, those who do so out of this sense of pleasure, those who are corrupt and without are without steadiness, for they remain alike to themselves. It's a likeness. It's a likeness. They don't always attain a likeness, and yet for a short time they become friends because they delight in each other's corruption. To people in their corruption, so that there's a shareness of sharing of virtue, but there's also a sharing of vice. The sharing of virtue is stable. The sharing of vice or baseness or corruption is unstable because they won't the place will, because remember what holds things together is likeness and equality. Okay, and therefore their likeness of equality and their corruption is once their corruption is no longer like or similar to each other, or equal to each other in that sense, they cease to be friends. But however, those who are useful and pleasant remain friends for a longer time, for however long they provide pleasure and benefit. Right. That's how it seems that friendship based on utility arises especially from opposites. So that the utility friendships are opposites. For example, the friendship of a poor person with a wealthy one, that of an ignorant person with a knower. because the one aims at what he happens to need, he gives something else in return for it. Someone hence brings here, someone might bring in here both the lover and the beloved, or the beautiful and the ugly. Hence, lovers, in fact, appear laughable sometimes when they deem themselves worthy to be loved as they themselves love, right? This is, although Aristotle speaking here of the lover and the beloved in the erotic sense here, the estes and the verb he uses are passive. Speaking of the lover and beloved in the erotic sense here, the Orestes, the verbs he uses here are passive verbs of feeling. So he's not doing he's saying that, wait a minute, the love, he's using the love here is the verbs he used here are the passive forms of feeling. Okay, therefore this is interesting. He's not using the erotic, the erates and the eroman. So in fact, the lover is in fact laughable here because they deem themselves worthy to be loved as they love. Right. Um, Perhaps those who are similarly lovable ought to be deemed worthy of a reciprocal love. Right? Perhaps those who are similarly lovable ought to be worthy of reciprocal love. But if they are nothing of this sort, it is laughable. So everyone who is like lovable, those who are similarly lovable, ought to be deemed worthy of reciprocal love. But if they are nothing of this sort, this is laughable, right? So hence lovers appear laughable when they deem themselves worthy to be loved as they love. Reciprocity, right? This idea of reciproca. That okay, why is this the case? Because, well, maybe someone ought to be. If you're worthy of it, yes, you deserve it. But if you're not worthy of it, but if they're nothing of this sort, they're not worthy of that love in that sense. Hence the idea of the ugly person, right? The ugly person who wants to be loved by the beautiful person, right? This is that situation here. Yet perhaps one opposite does not aim at the other opposite in itself, except incidentally. So therefore, this is that point that they're not aiming at the opposite. They don't love the ugly. They don't. It's not the ugliness that they attract. It's something else, right? Um, Rather, the longing involved is for the middle term, since this is good. For example, what is good for the dry is not to become wet, but to become the middle condition. And similarly for the case of heat and the rest. Right? Now, then, let us leave aside these considerations, for indeed they are rather foreign to our. In other words, the question of dry and this middle purpose. But he says it's not the opposite. That it's not merely the opposite, but some middle state of the condition of these things, something middle state that they're aiming at, and that they share. Maybe that middle state is shareable at a certain level. And here we end chapter 8. Well, okay, if you have any comments or questions, and in fact, he ends this consideration. This is beyond our purpose. He ends this discussion about the middle state and this. So let's stop here. We'll look at next time chapter 9. If you have any comments or questions, please put them below. Um, uh, 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 if you have any issues that you want me to address, please put them below. If you like it, hit the like button. Please hit the like button. It helps the algorithm out. If you like it, share it. Share it on your social media. Share it on your different accounts. Share it in email. Share it with your friends. Share it far and wide. Again, the more sharing actually increases the algorithm, affects the algorithm, and gets more attention to these kind of things, and people searching for it. Another thing you can do is, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. It helps grow the channel, again, affecting the algorithm and making it more effective as to be found and people can discover it. If you know people who are interested in this, encourage them to come visit our site, visit the site, watch out what we do here, check out the themes and issues, and encourage them to subscribe. It would help, again, always help the channel. And now, if you didn't like it, you can always thumbs down it and say why. I had a thumbs down recently on a thing, but they didn't say why. I said, oh, but it was for the course I did, and I don't know why. Who knows what people were saying and why they didn't like it. Another thing you can do is you can follow me on social media. The links are below. If you want to know more about me as a scholar and as a researcher, and you want to check out my research, you can look at my academic social media sites below, the social media sites. And if you want to help me do what I do in these things, you can do so through the links to Subscribe Star, Patreon, there, or you can do so by buying one of the books that are currently available either at your bookstore or through an online distributor like Amazon or Barnes and Noble or or through the publisher themselves. Well, that's it. Well, I hope you guys will have a good day. We'll turn next time to chapter 9. Take care. Have a good day. Bye bye.